You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Nick, owner of Breck Bailey. Welcome, Nick.
How are you, Polly?
Good. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad we finally connected. So tell me and the listeners, what is Breck Bailey?
Yeah, so right now we're mostly a fresh frozen dog food company, but I don't really want to just limit us to that. So I call us a dog products company, but our main product right now is fresh dog food.
Okay, and how did you decide to start Breck Bailey?
Yeah, so I'll try to sum that up as quick as possible. Long story short, our dog got extremely sick, 5 or 6 years ago, and he was having seizures on average about every 14 days. Long story short, we don't have kids. We were kind of all in on him, so we started trying to figure out how we could take care of the issues that he was having. And we were able to identify that his epilepsy could actually be semi-treated between medicine and a mix of changing his diet. He didn't have a seizure for, I think it was over 6 years once we started working with nutritionists and changing his diet. And, a mix of medicine and the right nutrition really changed his life.
Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. So how did you decide what the ingredients were in the food? Like, how did you figure that out once you realized that the food was contributing to your dog's seizures?
Sure. For him, it was very, very specific. We had to basically make a meal plan just for him. For us, we wanted to make something for our dog food, for the masses, essentially. We wanted to make something that was good for all dogs. And to do that, we did a lot of things. It's as crazy as it sounds. We read a lot of books. We met with a lot of veterinarians. We met with a lot of veterinary nutritionists. And, frankly, we dissected everything that our competitors were doing, what they were doing good, what they were doing bad, what we liked, what we would try to improve on. We're not trying to be inventors. We're trying to be more innovators and just take the best of the best and make it even better. So we just looked at all the different aspects and decided on a good mix. And then as we decided that, this is what we wanted to do, we always tried to have a checks and balances with the veterinary nutritionist saying, do we actually know what we're doing? Can you sign off on this? Do you think this is the way to go? And sometimes they would say, well, we should do a little bit more of this ingredient than this ingredient. And after kind of toying with it for about a year, we came up with a few different recipes that we feel are very, very solid.
And so are you doing it, or did you have to rent a kitchen to do it? Like, how did that all evolve?
Which part? What do you mean?
Well, just actually making the dog food. Was it something that you started first in your kitchen, or did you rent a kitchen? And then now do you have a manufacturer that produces it using your ingredients? How does that all work?
Sure. So it's been an evolutionary process. So I would say we started at home, cooking for our dog and then our other dog as well. So we were making food at home with our recipes. And then we started to look at different commissary kitchens here in Denver. And we actually ended up working with a chef on the East Coast to kind of perfect the cooking methods and to make this more scalable. That was kind of the second phase. The third phase that we're in now is we're working with a large human grade kitchen outside of Boulder. And we're able to, I don't want to use the word mass manufacture because that doesn't give our food enough credit, but we're able to cook to our standards in a larger kitchen and keep the food at human grade standards by using this large human grade kitchen near Boulder. So we've kind of evolved from cooking at home to now having our processes in a way that we can scale them very, very rapidly.
And then is it packaged in Boulder or is it taken somewhere else?
Yeah, everything's packaged there. And then we ship here from Denver as well. So basically what we do in the beginning is we give everybody a food scale, and on our website, you can kind of decide if you want, to do topper portions, anywhere from like 25% of your dog's meals, fresh food, all the way to 100%. So what we like to do is basically say, some of our competitors like to demonize things like kibble. What we want to show people is that including some fresh food into your dog's diet is better than none. So even if you can't afford to do, 100% fresh food, like I just got off the phone with somebody about an hour ago that has 3 golden retrievers who all weigh 75 pounds. If they were to feed 100% our food, it would be cost prohibitive. The reality is, healthy food is expensive. Shipping frozen and fresh food is expensive. So our goal is to, get as many dogs eating some fresh food as possible. Did that kind of answer the question?
Yeah. And so based on, like, my dogs are on dry food. So someone like myself, how many days a week do you tell clients that they should try to integrate fresh food?
Honestly, as much as they can afford and as much as they're willing to do. So a lot of people will do, like, let's say you're feeding, to simplify everything, let's say you're feeding your dog 1 cup of kibble per day. We would say, let's go to half a cup of kibble per day and then feed 50% Breck Bailey. And that's a good mix. And then we have other people, like we have some customers that have, it sounds crazy, but dogs that weigh as much as 160 pounds. And what they do with those dogs is they feed it more as kind of a treat. So it might be every 3 days or something like that, like 1 day off, 1 day on, that type of thing, to make sure that they're able to do a healthy mix. So it's really up to the customer on how all in they want to go in with fresh frozen food.
And with fresh frozen food, are you finding that the dogs have better skin, less allergies? What are some of the benefits of kind of doing a mix or all?
Yeah, so absolutely. Like here in Colorado, tons of dogs have dry skin. I mean, that's just very common. I mean, tons of people have dry skin because we live in such a dry environment. Our little dog, her name is Z. She's 12 years old. We believe that another dog from her litter actually lives in our neighborhood. It's funny how similar they are. They're this exact same age. And if they're not litter mates, it's a really good example of 2 different dogs who have been fed and treated completely different throughout their kind of, their existence. So with her, she used to have really bad dander problems and whatnot back when she was a younger dog. And now she's, very, very healthy for a 12-year-old dog. The same 12-year-old dog that we know that doesn't eat very healthy, he doesn't look very good. So we've seen some really big changes in our dog that we've been feeding this way for years. We also have some friends who have been feeding our food for, 2-3 years, and they have mentioned significant changes in their own dog. We have one friend who has a German Shepherd who runs with their dog almost every day. And I actually ran into them last night, and they were, basically telling me, hey, why haven't we done a customer testimonial yet? You got to come and see how good our dog's looking. So the proof is kind of in the experience
health of the dog.
Exactly. And this is one of those things that I encourage anybody, like, what's the worst that can happen? If you go from feeding cheap kibble type of food to feeding them healthy food, okay, maybe you go back to feeding cheap food because you don't see a significant change. but there's a very good chance that you're going to see a significant change. So I encourage people to at least try it. Even if it's not our food, like if you're cooking chicken, feed your dog chicken. If you're cooking some broccoli or something that's safe for your dog to eat, there's no reason that you shouldn't include that, or shouldn't include your dog with what you're eating. I think one of the biggest marketing schemes of all time is just the words dog food. What does that even mean? I mean, food is food in my book, and real food is real food. We should go back to that type of thinking for our dogs and ourselves. The more processed something is, the more processed it is. So people, please feed your dogs real food and you will see positive changes.
Wonderful. So how do listeners order Breck & Bailey and get a hold of you?
Yeah, so pretty simple. Our website's just breckandbailey.com. My email's nick@breckandbailey.com. If anybody, listens to this and wants to try our dog food, shoot me a message and I'm happy to send you a coupon code for either 50% off your first box, or if you're here locally in Denver, we might be able to ship you a sample pack for free. Just reach out any way you can, and, we're happy to take care of you.
Great. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Polly.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-minute Vet Talk.